Elise Jesse, and today marks the conclusion of training camp for the Cincinnati Bengals. Another joint practice with the Rams, and another big thing happening this week. Safety Jesse Bates walks into Paycor Stadium on Tuesday. I found it funny that he didn't tell anybody, especially some of the guys that he's closest with in the locker room. He just sort of showed up and surprised everybody. I asked him this afternoon why he went about it that way, and he just smirked back at me and said, "You know what it is." So very cryptic on his part, but it's all good. I thought it was funny. In his press conference this week, he spoke about obviously the NFL being a business, and he realizes that he got a lot of time with his family this week. And what I thought was interesting was that he was paying attention, obviously, to the Bengals when they're playing games, and he had film of their practices. So he was honed in on rookie Dax Hill. He's definitely been paying attention to the type of play, the type of energy that Dax Hill brings to the field. He called him explosive. And that is something that I brought to Dax this afternoon. And I wanted to get his reaction to hearing a veteran call him explosive. Here's what he had to say.
That just speaks volumes for me, just because of what he's done these last, 4 or 5 years. So just hearing that from him, and giving me confidence, that's what I need right now. So I appreciate that, and I'm excited to work alongside with him.
What was it like, being on the field with him against a different team as well?
It felt good. He wasn't really out there yesterday, but really just warming up with him, the individual. You can just definitely tell there's a different, vibe within the secondary. So it's good, just to have him back.
And was it, it's the last day of training camp now, but is it nice going against an opponent instead of your own offense?
It can't be kind of get tired of seeing the same people. It's like, man, I got to see you again, see you every day. But it was definitely good, and, to go against another, good quality team. And, so it felt good being out there and, seeing, different faces.
And I know that camp is extremely time-consuming for you guys, but outside of football, what do you like to do? I know some guys like to go horseback riding, or some guys like to go to the beach. Like, what do you like to do? Are there any books or podcasts that you're into?
Yeah, I'm a book guy.
Okay.
I read books whenever I can, whenever I have time. I'm a golf guy recently, so just got a few sets of, clubs recently.
Nice.
So I've been doing that, trying that out. I'm not good, but I'm gonna eventually get there. And what else do I do? Really just hang with my girl and, family, friends. So, yeah.
How's your swing? It can't be as bad as Charles Barkley's, is it?
Actually, no. Mine isn't as worse this time. Isn't as bad as that. So,
that's a good thing.
mine is slowly but surely getting there.
Is there anybody else on the team that you're able to golf with and just get away from football with?
No, not really. Of course, the rookies. Going through OTAs and rookie mini camp for sure. Hung out with them almost every day. And so now it's, kind of a little bit hard, with camp. So, but, the older guys are always there, doing things with those guys. And so, yeah, I've had some time, while camp wasn't, going on.
And last question for you. If your season opener was tomorrow, do you feel ready for it right now?
For sure. I feel like I'm ready for anything that's thrown at me. I feel like I've been doing this for a while now, and feel very comfortable, in the defense, and so whatever if that were to happen, I think I'll be ready and very comfortable for it. So, yeah.
If you've paid attention at all this preseason, you know as well as I do that Dax Hill would certainly be ready if the opener was tomorrow. I think he will certainly be ready for September 11th. Another guy I spoke to this afternoon was Trayveon Williams. And we spoke about his joint practices with the Rams and if that's beneficial in his opinion to go up against a team with a different jersey instead of going up against his own team. And we also talked about whether or not there were emotions evoked when he saw the Rams jerseys, the team that just beat them in the Super Bowl just a few months ago. Here's what he had to say.
Crazy. It's crazy. It's kind of ironic as it is. You think about the last day of training camp. We got the joint practice with the Rams, and then obviously our last game last season was against the Rams in the Super Bowl. So it's kind of a crazy way to put it. But obviously year 4 coming to it. Last preseason game coming up, last practice. But I'm excited. We've had some good competition yesterday. We got another day of competition just to get better. But I'm excited to see how everything goes and keep working.
I know you guys don't want to make any headlines or anything, but Was there any emotion that was provoked when you walked out and you saw the Rams jerseys on your
Oh
field?
man, I mean, at the end of the day, it's always emotions involved.
Yeah.
Obviously, no bad emotions, not at all. But obviously, it's a competition standpoint. Like, they're obviously ended up finishing last year as the best team in the league. So obviously, you look out there and get another opportunity to go out there and compete, another opportunity for practice, and you get to compete against one of the best in the league. So it's a great opportunity to get better, and obviously, against the Rams. So great opportunity to continue what we did last year, but not forget about last year, and then obviously opportunity now to make a step forward for this year. So.
What do you think you and the rest of the offense gains by going up against the Rams defense in practice?
Obviously, we get a different standpoint. Obviously, we get to practice against the defense. Defense. Obviously, our defense has their own personal setup, and then obviously, so get to go against a different component with the Rams. Obviously, a nickel defense, nickel 51 defense. We get to get different looks. Obviously, get to tee off on a different team, not our own guys. So obviously, different looks, different things we get to adjust to, and different looks that we get to see. But at the end of the day, just compete. Get to compete against some other guys and see some new faces and make some reads, make some checks, and see what we can do for this year.
I know training camp is really long and arduous.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you hate doing in practice, but when it comes game time, you're really grateful that you worked on that?
At the end of the day, obviously the running and the banging and stuff you kind of hate to do during practice, but obviously, at the end of the day, practice makes perfect. We all say that. That's a redundant statement that goes on in this league, but obviously the things that you have to do, like Frank, he always said you got to be monotonous, so you got to keep on doing the little things, stack the days, and obviously you got to keep on doing those things. Some days might be harder than others, some days might be easier than others, but obviously at the end of the day, if you're hurt during the week, then Sunday will be easy. So keep stacking those days and keep doing the best thing we can do so we can be the best that we can be this year and hopefully win us the Super Bowl.
I've noticed, I think anyone who follows Joe Mixon on Instagram would know that he's been beating everyone in these quizzes.
Yeah.
How is he doing it?
My! It's crazy.
Joe Dean is always at the top.
So since we're talking about that, I won today's.
Did you really?
I might not
Look at
post
you.
all of my wins, but obviously it's a fun competition that we have in our room. Obviously, it's so much fun that we do. It's a great way to keep us obviously sharp on the things that we know on the field, and then obviously it's good competition for us. We're a very competitive room. We like to compete in all the different things, but obviously Kahoot is a great way for us to do that. We do that every single day, and obviously Joe, he's racked up his dubs. Everybody's racked up a couple dubs in the room, but like I said, it's a good way to do it. And at the end of the day, man, it keeps our room tight. We're a very tight-knit room, and it's a great way for us to stay together and keep building on the things. So it's fun. At the end of the day, it's fun. We keep on building.
So the test that we were actually referencing is running backs coach Justin Hill's test. He gives it to the running back group every Thursday morning, and whoever wins gets bragging rights. I mean, Joe Mixon wins a lot. So the fact that Trayveon Williams won this morning is extremely impressive because Joe Dean is hard to beat. This week I spoke to BJ Hill as well because I don't know if you've watched some of his mic'd up sessions with the Bengals or anything, but he has so much personality and he just injects so much laughter into this team, especially on the defensive side of the ball. If you don't know his story, he was drafted by the Giants in 2018 as a rookie. He had 5.5 sacks that year. And then you kind of saw his playing time diminish. He was eventually traded to the Bengals in 2021. And honestly, it seemed like he was just tearing it up. He split time at the 3 technique with Larry Ogunjobi, and he had 5.5 sacks last year. He had 6 tackles for loss. He was certainly an intricate part of the Cincinnati Bengals going to the Super Bowl, winning an AFC championship, winning the first playoff game in 30 years. And that earned him a nice fancy contract in the offseason. And I was able to speak with him and ask him just about the journey that he's been on. Take a listen.
God always has a plan. May not go like you want it. Been in New York, I love my time there. Great guys, great coaches. Just didn't go my way. I got traded here. And with Coach Lou, Coach Hobby took me in, and from there, the rest is history.
I'm a big fan of Marion Hobby's, honestly. He's, and a lot of players seem to be as well. Why are you a fan of his?
I love the way he coaches. He's hard on you. He's very detailed in his work. That's the kind of guy I love, somebody being very strict and hard and focusing on a lot of details and make you a good player.
It seems like, and I could be wrong, so correct me if I am, but it seems like a coach can gain a lot of trust from a player if he continues to put guys in the right positions to succeed. Is that something that Marion Hobby's known for?
For sure. He always puts us in the right position to help us be the best player we can be.
And even though I'm just, formally meeting you today, I've been a big fan for a while just because of your personality. It seems like you inject a lot of personality into this team. Have you always been this way? Just kind of a goofball of sorts?
I like to have fun. I don't like always being, serious all the time, only on the field, but other than that, in the locker room, I'm a big jokester. I like to have fun with the guys. That's just me. Yeah.
Is there anyone in particular on the team who you love to mess with because you can get under their skin so well?
All the wide receivers. I love messing with them. They always get in their little feelings, be a diva sometimes, so I love it.
So you got to bring them back down to earth.
Yeah, you got to, just a little bit.
And you've got 2 more days of camp left. Mm-hmm. How has just this year's work been for you, getting some work ahead of 2022?
First, I'm excited for these next 2 days. Get to play or practice against the Rams. Just working on your fundamentals, technique. Going to get some great guys. And then it's been a great camp. Getting to know the coaches even more, the players even more. Because last year I didn't have all that time. I just jumped right into the playbook and trying to learn everything as fast as I can. So just getting that time with the coaches and the playbook is the big thing for me.
Do you think that will allow you to play even faster?
Oh yeah, for sure. Oh yeah, because I started playing faster towards the end of the year. I'm starting to learn more of the defense, and this year I know a lot more than I did last year. So that's a big thing for me.
And I know you split time with the 3 technique with Larry Ogunjobi. Mm-hmm. Now that he's gone, you have a lot bigger workload. Mm-hmm. How are you preparing your body for a workload like that?
Just come out and practice each and every day. Doing my all, being in great conditioning because I know I got to play a lot of snaps. But last year in the playoffs, I took on a big role when he went out. So I'm ready for it.
What are you most excited about revolving around this team?
Just every day. Something new something's new every day.
What do you mean by that?
I just love being around this team. Just the energy, the coaches, my teammates. Just walking in the building, I just love. That's why you see my personality each and every day. It's the same because I love being around the guys.
It seems like you're comfortable expressing who you are also,
yeah.
Which is a good sign.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, BJ Hill is certainly one of the emerging personalities in the Bengals locker room. I think CJ Uzomah might have overshadowed him a little bit because he's got a very strong, energetic, funny personality. And now it's BJ's time to shine in that department. I also had a conversation. I mean, I'm just bringing you all the interviews this week. That's what this is for, right? It's the purpose of this show is to bring you guys behind the scenes, bring you guys into the locker room so that you can see and get a sense of what this team is really like off the field. I was able to talk with a former Bengal, David Fulcher. 3 straight Pro Bowls, 1988, 1989, and 1990, 31 career interceptions. And he had some really great stories about Super Bowl 23 going up against the 49ers and what happened prior to that game that set him off. Here's our conversation.
So Super Bowl 23, that was a highlight of, it's the ultimate game, as an athlete, you want to get to the championship. And prior to getting there, we were just happy to be on the football field, just having fun, playing football, playing a sport you've been playing all your life. And then after we won the AFC Championship game, we're actually playing the San Francisco 49ers in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I was more at awe because it was the 49ers, Roger Craig and Joe Montana and Jerry Rice, all those big time, Hollywood football players. But then on the field with them, running around, warming up, I was looking at them more than I was getting ready to play football because it was the 49ers. Right. And I can remember back during warmups, I stuck my hand out to shake Roger Craig's hand just because, it was Roger Craig. And he just blew me off. He didn't even shake my hand. I'm like, oh, okay. And I think that kind of fueled the fire because now it was football now.
Yeah.
Before he didn't shake my hand, I was like looking at the lights like I was in Hollywood somewhere. And when he didn't shake my hand, something happened inside of me. So it was like, okay, you don't want to shake my hand, then I guess I'm going to have to hit you all day.
And you did.
Fortunate for me, I did hit him and made him fumble. And I just kind of had a few words for him after he laid on the ground when he fumbled, that if you just shook my hand, you probably wouldn't have fumbled that. It probably wouldn't have happened. But, it was one of those things that that game was very, very exciting to play. And how we represented Cincinnati was that night. That's what we wanted to do.
And you also got a sack in that game of the Hollywood, Joe Montana.
Hollywood,
How good
Montana.
did that feel for you?
Let me tell you, the game was going on, and I noticed something throughout the game. And this is where, when you said something about a knack for the game or notice what's going on. The tight end, every time I would play man-to-man on the tight end, he would always block down, like blocking down on the end or the lineman.
Yeah.
He never really looked at me. So I just told Dick LeBeau, our defensive coordinator, I said, we need to call the strong safety fire, which was me firing off the corner. And I'm going to get Montana because the tight end's not watching me. And he called it. And when he called it, it was perfect. It was a perfect call, perfect play. If there was something bad about that, was I just barely touched Montana. I didn't hit him like I wanted to. And I think he saw me at the last minute and he dropped to the ground real quick. So, but unfortunate though, if I would have hit him, their backup was Steve Young. So Steve Young can run. Joe couldn't run. So are we fortunate to have Joe or have Steve? So it didn't really matter.
Well, it sounds like it was an incredible experience for you.
It was.
Watching highlights of you play, it just seems like your speed is incredible. You have, as I said before, a knack for finding the football. It seems like it just was second nature to you in a way. Is that how it felt for you playing?
Yeah, it was. I think for me, I was a wide receiver all my life. Even when I got to Arizona State as a freshman, I was a wide receiver. And then I switched to safety, which I played safety in high school.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew how to run routes on the other side of the ball.
It's helpful.
I knew where receivers, when they lined up way outside, he's not going to run out. He's coming inside toward the field, right, and vice versa. So when he was inside, I knew it was going out. When he was outside, I knew it was coming in. So I could, if you could say it, I was the quarterback on defense, watching receivers run routes, watching the offense do what they did. So it kind of gave me an advantage because I watched linemen who were, not covered up by a defensive lineman. I used to look at their hands. If a guy's if it's a white lineman and he's got too much weight on his fingertips are really red. So he's firing out to come block somebody. If his hands were off the ground, then obviously there's no blood in his fingers. He's trying to drop back and pass protect for his quarterback. So I used to watch that stuff quite often. And there was a pretty good percentage that the play that I made was the right play.
I mean, you had 31 career interceptions. It sounds like it was extremely beneficial for you to look at the tendencies of your opponents and how they lined up, how they reacted to things, or maybe how they got ready for a play. Do you think that players now today still rely on those same tactics?
I think they do. I mean, once again, I would expect them to.
Yeah.
But it's if you don't pay attention to detail, those people who are detail-oriented people. I remember hearing Peyton Manning talk about, watching film, and studying his opponent. Well, you do that all over. No matter what position you're playing, you should study your opponent. If I'm covering, I don't cover many wide receivers, but I cover tight ends and running backs.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd always watch those running backs doing film studies. And then when you can watch a running back on a Monday night game or a Sunday game where the camera puts it on his face and his eyes are telling what's going on. He looks over to the right a lot and he keeps looking to the right. Is he going that way or is he going to the left? So those are the small things that if you're a student of the game, you have to pick up. And I think it's very valuable. And I think these guys today, with the technology they have today and the things they have that I didn't have, that's why these guys are superstars and do what they do.
Well, in talking specifically about Jesse Bates, It seemed like when there was changing of the guard from Marvin's staff to Zach Taylor's staff, Jesse Bates seemed to be one of the guys who caught on quickly to Lou Anarumo's style of play and what he wanted out of his players. And he seemed like he was able to do really well with the transition from the playbook onto the field. What did you see as a former player? What did you see out of Jesse Bates that was impressive for you?
Well, it's kind of hard to play in systems that keep changing or when change comes about because, Jesse in one system, at the line of scrimmage or he's pretty deep. Now he's in this system and they're asking him to do other things, cover people out the backfield, come up there in the box, stand deep. It's difficult, but when you're an athlete, if you can run and if you can hit, if you can cover, if you can do those things and you specialize in it or you really work hard at being the best you can be, Jesse Bates has changed his game. He's one of the best safeties in the league. If he's not in the top 5, he's pretty close to being up there. So I think that what he's brought to this defensive secondary is leadership. A guy that just every day, you see him, he gets better every time. When I first came in the league, I used to watch him when they would, line up and he would be, 15, 20 yards deep. But that's the system. He doesn't belong way back there. He needs to be up a little bit to the line of scrimmage. And then you can see sometimes when he's at the line of scrimmage where he makes a lot of plays. The interception he made in the Tennessee game, first play of the game, I think that was. He was lined up deep and then he walked up. And when he walked up, he sat there. He didn't back up. He didn't go forward. He sat there. And then all you saw was Tannehill with a pass, not thinking that Jesse Bates was sitting there, and Jesse jumps up and he makes a play. So I'm glad to see him back. I'm hoping that he has a successful year and I really hate the franchise tag when they put that on a guy and all he wants is what, the other safeties in the league are making a big time deal. So if he stays healthy, he'll get that big time deal.
Well, yeah, this week he signs the franchise tag and shows up to the stadium just under 3 weeks before the first regular season game. And, talking about preparation, of course, he's been preparing on his own. But I've heard from so many guys throughout the years that, practice speed and game speed is so different. Do you think that just shy of 3 weeks, is that enough time for him to get ready for the season opener?
Well, I mean, I could look at the starters right now. They haven't played any games. They're out there practicing every day. So what Jesse has missed was the practice that the guys are having daily. And it's hard to work out by yourself and practice game speed with pads on with your teammates. But, he's a professional. And I think he should be ready. But the football team right now, they haven't been hit. Mixon hasn't been hit. Them guys haven't been hit. They haven't really had to do any work. So this is a perfect time for him to get back because I believe this week those guys are going to start, getting into it because, another 2 weeks, 3 weeks from now, they're playing Pittsburgh.
Right.
So it's a perfect time for him to come in. I wish he was in there earlier, but I know it's a business. I never looked at football as a business. I just played the game because I love playing it. And then they told me, hey, we're going to give you X amount of dollars just to go hit people. Okay, that's easy.
Sounds good.
So I think for Jesse, as long as he's been working out, and like I say, he's a professional, that he should be okay.
Well, he's gonna have $13 million in the bank this year, but if they don't come to a long-term agreement, the Bengals can place the tag on him again in 2023, but they would have to pay him just shy of $15.5 million. Do you think if Jesse has a great year this season that the Bengals would likely place a second tag on him, or is that just something that they would absolutely not do?
Well, we're talking about the Bengals now, and the Bengals will come up with some kind of wrinkle. And I think it's they've got a lot of players that they got to sign contracts when they come. Joe Burrow, the receivers, they want to keep those guys. But see, that offense puts points on the board. Defense stop people from putting points on the board.
Yeah.
So with the player that they got in Bates, you got to find somewhere in your pocket to make it happen. And like I said, this is tough. It's a tough business. It's a tough world. If he has a standout year, he kind of like owns the Bengals when it comes to a contract.
Yeah, the leverage is really there.
Yeah, but then he can go. The Bengals can go right back and say, "We're going to tag you again." And for that would be tough. I mean, that doesn't tell Jesse Bates or the fans that they really want him, that they're tagging him. Get this guy a 4-year deal, 60, 80, $90 million, whatever these other guys are making, and then let the cards play what they play. And, this is tough. It's a tough one because if he doesn't have a good year, then the Bengals can say, okay, well, we don't want you. But I think Jesse's a professional, and if they don't tag him next year and they don't sign him, somebody will get him.
Yeah, absolutely. And, we talk about the 2022 season, and fans are expecting a lot again this season. The expectation from Mike Brown has always been win the Super Bowl, but they haven't won a playoff game until 2021. So the expectations, I feel like, are even higher than they have been in the past. What do you feel like the expectations are for this team? And how difficult is it to get to a Super Bowl, be an AFC champion? You've done that. How difficult is that from your perspective?
Very difficult. It's hard to win back-to-back Super Bowls. Mm-hmm. It's hard to get back to the Super Bowl. I think the expectations that this football team has now is playoffs. Yeah. I would love to see them go to a Super Bowl, but more for me is playoffs every year. Mm-hmm. You get to the playoffs and you lose in the playoffs, and you know what? That's how it goes. I expected, and to be honest, I was looking for this past season was the Bengals to win a playoff game. When they beat the Raiders in the playoff, I was like, okay, we're done. We won it.
That's enough for me. I'm good.
That's it. We're good. I'm good. And then when they beat Tennessee, it was like, wait a minute. Yeah. Okay. They got a shot. And then going into the Kansas City game, being down 21-3, I was like, hey, been a good year. I'm proud of the guys, but they won that game. Yeah. So expectations that I believe with this team today is we have to go to the playoffs every year. There is no second place. There is no hang the cleats up before Christmas. Its expectation is win enough to get into the playoffs and then let the cards lay there.
What is, in your opinion, the most exciting thing about this defense when you watch it? I know you're at the games, you're watching in person. So when you see what's going on under Lou Anarumo, what do you see that excites you?
What excites me is how they are a core unit of getting to the football. The defensive line, and like I said, the defensive line, those guys bring it. Yeah. I like watching them guys. Them guys up front are bringing it. And that's what makes this defense operate. Because if you're putting pressure on the quarterback, ball's coming out quick. Mm-hmm. That allows the safeties and the linebackers to attack where the ball is being thrown. So when I see the aggressiveness that this defense brings to the table, because, everybody's looking at that high-powered offense and can't wait for them to get out there. Yeah. Well, the only way they're going to get out there quickly is the defense 3 and out, shuts the other side down. And that's what this defense has been doing this past football season. And once again, I look at the game and say, if they win a game 21-17, great. If they lose a game 21-17, not great because you lost, but you were competing. Yeah. And you can compete each week in and week out, you have a chance. And I think that's where the defense has kept this football team in games, because that offense is going to score points no matter what.
I fully agree with you. And I've got one more question for you before I let you go. It has nothing to do with the current team, but we are in the end of training camp. Is there anything that you had to do as a player in practice that you absolutely hated, but when it came game time, you were thankful that you did that?
Oh, wow. I hated to run. I didn't like running after practice, running the gassers and, doing all the extra work. I didn't, but I realized that running those extra gassers and getting myself in shape was important come Sunday, because Sunday, you burn a lot of energy on Sunday.
Yeah.
You can stop and start in practice, because there's a second player or a third teamer. You might, if there's 25 reps, you might get 12 of those, and then the other 15 reps are shared between the other two safeties. But in a game, it's 60 plays,
Right.
And those 60 plays could be a 14-play drive, and you give up a field goal or a touchdown, and you're exhausted.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go back to the sideline, get a few drinks in you, some water, some Gatorade, and then you go back out there because your offense went a 3 and out. That's tough. That's really tough. So yeah, I think the conditioning part of it, I'm so glad I did it, even though I didn't want to do it, but I'm glad I did it because game day during the week, I was ready to play.
I think I would be extremely frustrated if I had to do, play 14 straight plays and then the offense goes 3 and out and then come back out and I'm already gassed. I think I would be annoyed at myself first for being gassed in the first place.
I mean, and here's the thing. So you when you see those things happening, because I'll give you an example. When the Houston Oilers were in Houston, they had to run and shoot. They had 5 receivers, Warren Moon, 4 receivers, and a running back. And all they did was throw the football. Yeah. Every now and then they'll run the football with the running back, but they threw the ball all the time. So we never had a rest. We never got a break. Even when we came off the field, hoping that being a Boomer in the offense would get a 5 or 6 minute drive. They get 3 and out. We're back on the field, and it is like a hurry up offense all day. And if you're talking 60 to 80 plays on defense,
a lot.
That's a lot.
I can't imagine what you have to pull out of yourself when you're in that kind of position. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you tried your hardest, even when you were gassed. If you lose, it doesn't matter all that much.
Yes, yeah, you're right.
David, I appreciate you coming
on.
No
problem.
You're
no
such
problem.
a gem. You're fantastic.
Anytime.
Please thank Judy for me. I know that she was.
She's over there waving. You're welcome. Yeah, all good, girl. Thank you. Anytime.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And I'll see you in a couple weeks.
All right. See you later.
David Fulcher is such a gem. He tells, again, just like Tim McGee, he tells it to you straight. He does not BS. He just lets you know what's going on, what he's thinking. And again, that's always something that we appreciate here on the show. And I'll leave you with one little funny story from the locker room this afternoon. I'm not sure if you have seen the commercial, the Kroger commercial that Joe Burrow has done. It's a campaign that's airing right now. If you haven't seen it, you have to look it up, Google it, do something. You have to watch this so you know that the reference. Or actually, our editor, Andrew Foxmiller, made a great cut from this commercial this afternoon. Okay, so now that you know what I'm talking about, I showed this video to Joe Burrow this afternoon and we watched it 3 or 4 times and a big grin came upon his face. And I said, did you ever think that you would be in a position where anything you did was suddenly memed about? And he just laughed and he shook his head and he goes, not at all. So Joe's obviously a great sport. One of the kindest people in the locker room, in my opinion. We're going to continue to bring you these interviews, bring you behind the scenes, and I will see you next week on Thursday night at 8 o'clock.